Hi there, this is Jimmy Roberts. When it comes to the game of golf, there is no place on earth like the metropolitan area. It's always been a special place for the game of golf and also for golf writing. Some of the most esteemed and accomplished journalists covering the game work here. Now, you'll get a chance to hear them right here on the Metropolitan Golf Writers Association podcast. Enjoy.
All right, welcome to the program. Woody Lashen, co-owner of Pete's Golf. So happy to have you as part of the our guest for the Met Golf Writers Association podcast. How are we doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, Anthony. It's always great to do stuff with you. We did the radio show for 10 years together, and I always enjoyed that. Love talking golf.
Yeah, it was we've known each other for quite a long time. It's funny how time flies, but the early radio show days were a lot of fun.
Yes, they were a lot of fun.
Obviously, I actually want to start with the beginning for you because I think people know you. People know Pete's Golf. You're obviously very much a part of the top club fitters in America as deemed by Golf Digest, and you're there every year. You're obviously the best in the metropolitan area. But a lot of people don't know the story of Pete's Golf. Maybe you could just give us a little history lesson and then maybe how you came to be a part of Pete's Golf.
Sure. So Pete started Pete's Golf in 1979. He actually started in his garage a little earlier. That's when he got his first store. And back then it was wooden woods and whippings and refinishing. And in 1982, I stumbled into his store and started working for him. I worked for him all through the rest of high school and college. A couple of years scholarship golfer for me, which I'm pretty proud of. And I got an engineering degree. I tried it. I didn't like that at all. I'd always continue to work for Pete. And I sat him down and said, I think, this is something we could do together. If he was here, he would tell you the best decision he ever made was to sell me half the business and for us to be 50-50 partners. And it's been a great marriage. We're very like-minded, but we have two totally different skill sets. And we started with wooden woods. I mean, that was we finished 200 wooden woods a week.
Wow.
I mean, it's that old school stuff, and we did fitting from day one. Obviously, if I look back what we did then versus what we do now, it's horrible, right?
It's unrecognizable, really.
But we fought the fight of getting fitting to become accepted. It was not accepted. When I graduated college, one of the options I thought I had is I'll go into the PGA of America. And back then, the PGA of America said, well, club building, no go. Club fitting is voodoo, and you're not on a green grass association, so we don't want you. Which the reality worked out great for me because I can play amateur golf and I could be competitive there. But now you look forward, 40 years later, I got 2 PGA professionals working for me.
Right.
The entire world has now accepted this club fitting that we had to work so hard for it to become voodoo. Unfortunately, as everything happens, right? You have to fight so hard to get it to accepted, and then it gets watered down.
Right.
And now, unfortunately, to me, the word fitting is a sales tool.
Right.
Which it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be helping people play better golf. That is supposed to be your goal as a club fitter, is help someone play better golf. If that means telling them, like I told you many years ago, don't change this. There's nothing wrong with this piece of equipment that you have.
Right.
I used that engineering background a little bit. So real quick, when I went to school for engineering, you had a formula and you had to work the formula out. And I remember as a kid going, what do I have to work this stupid formula out? I just plug the numbers in. Well, if you don't really understand how the formula works, you're probably going to use it wrong.
Right.
I apply it to business today in that all of my guys know the engineers, the guys and the gals that design the products that we sell. Every other year, we make a trip out to Carlsbad. We go to Phoenix first to Ping, and then we go to Carlsbad, where Titleist, Callaway, TaylorMade, Cobra, Srixon, Fujikura, Mitsubishi, the majority of big OEMs are there. And we get in a room with the engineers and we talk to them about what they're designing and why they're designing it. Does that, I don't know if that makes me a better fitter. I know it makes me understand how that product works so much better and why company A does something versus company B does something. But I believe that if you're trying to help people play the best golf they can, you need to start from that education. You need to understand why they're doing what they're doing.
Right. Well, it provides when you go visit these, and I know you've been doing this for years, but it does provide a context, and it doesn't, like you said, I don't think the question is, does it make you a better fitter? I think the what it makes you is a guy with 40 years experience, a more informed fitter. And when
Yeah.
you're more informed and you have more information, it just allows you to go a little deeper when you're working with somebody who thinks they want something but may not know that that's not the right thing for them. A lot of people think they want something, or they, the old story of, I want to hit blades or whatever. But, but they're golfers, we're all a little nuts, and we all think
Have to be.
we all think we know what we need, but it's really, you have to, when you step into your store, and you have to really sort of let all of that go, because you're the person who has accumulated the experience, has accumulated the knowledge, so that when you go, you can explain to me why X club is better than that club, or this grind is better than that grind, or that flex or that shaft is better. So it does make you a more informed fitter. So I think it's a fancier, nicer way of saying I think it does make you a better fitter, to be honest.
Well, I just think we're always learning. And if you don't go, you don't have a chance to learn. And we have learned things over the years in those meetings that have absolutely changed how we do things. So I want all the guys to do it. I mean, I'm not in the Bay that much anymore. Fortunately, we've got to build big business, and it's busy, and I'm the guy running it. So I'm not in that fitting bay that often anymore. But I want all those guys to be as good as they can be. And I want to give them as many tools as I can, again, to help people play better golf.
Sure.
I think that's I say that over and over again, but that is our job. And if we do our job right, we'll sell enough equipment to stay in business. And if we try and sell stuff, then we'll be out of business tomorrow. And I have no interest in doing that.
Right. Well, you mentioned, I want to just jump back because you mentioned a number of the OEMs, and every year you go to the PGA show, and I'm always curious what the vibe was like this year, and also because there's been times in the past where the PGA show has been a little lackluster, let's say, for lack of a better word. And it seems like the vibe has gotten better the last couple of years, and things are on the up. But I also wanted to know what were the new trends that you saw coming out of the winter this year?
I think the biggest thing I'll tell you, I think golf's in a good spot. For us, I've been going to the PGA show since I'm 21 years old.
Right.
And it's always informative. We always have great meetings. We always learn something. But you can get the feel of the buzz. And a few years ago, the buzz was kind of downturn, and a lot of companies weren't going back to the PGA show, and a lot of the small companies weren't there with different ideas, trying different things. This year, man, there was a lot of small companies. A lot of small companies trying to get things out there, trying to do something different. The vibe of the golf pros and the golf professionals walking around where, hey, golf's in a good spot. So I would tell you that the sense of it was busy and golf's in a good spot. And when those things, from my standpoint, happen, you're going to have more innovation, because you're going to have people trying different things. So lab putter is a perfect example of this, right? They took an old technology, an old 50-year-old, 60-year-old bullseye with zero torque, but it had no tech in it. Right. They took that, they did something that no one else had done, modern tech in a zero torque, and look, everyone has one now.
Right.
Every company makes one. It's a huge part of the market.
Right.
That's innovation.
Sure.
You don't get that innovation without golf being in a good spot. Without people saying, hey, this is a good business, let me try and do something here.
Are there years where the innovation takes a larger jump than years. I mean, it has to be hard to. I don't feel like there's a zero torque putter every year type of situation
There
every
certainly
year.
isn't. But by the way, remember, Lab Golf has been around for a long time.
Okay.
That's not like they were a brand new company. They were called Directed Force before Lab,
Okay.
and they just couldn't. They had a great idea and a great concept, and they couldn't get it going. They changed the name. They got some great marketing,
Hmm.
and they had the great product.
Right.
Then they got the other parts, and boom, look where they are.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but I think the biggest thing is the industry always trying to innovate and always trying to make something better.
Hmm.
Now, when I say that, it's very important to understand that if you go and buy a new driver today, you should not be looking to replace that driver for at least 5 years.
Right.
Okay, unless something happens dramatically to you, unless you're hurt yourself or you're get so much better. Good
Right.
golf equipment should last you. I always say 7 to 10 years is my number. It should last you a long time.
Right.
But if they keep innovating every year, when it's time for you to look at a new driver, now the chance you can actually see a difference in that driver
Hmm.
or in that set of irons or in that putter
Right.
because they've been innovating every year
Right.
to make it better.
Right. So it takes a little time for you to really sort of reap the benefits of that next generation of technology.
Correct.
You mentioned something. I just want to jump in real quick because you mentioned something about marketing and how important is marketing. Marketing is sort of, I mean, it's everything. I mean, obviously, Lab is the perfect example, but I mean, marketing seems to be a huge part of the OEMs and getting their name out there and getting their technology out there. But that's not an easy thing to do. Can you talk a little bit about the marriage between marketing and technology for clubs?
So I guess the problem is I'm anti-marketing, right?
Right,
I'm a performance guy, right?
right,
People
right,
come in, they saw XYZ advertised. I am all about what's going to work for you. Don't tell me what brand you want. Let's find what you want, what's best for you, and then you can tell what brand you want.
right,
So
right,
I don't like the marketing.
right,
However, in something like Lab Putters, it's something that if they didn't market it and they didn't get it out there, it would be gone.
right, right,
There's other companies that try doing something like that, and they're still around, but they're small and they're not known, and people don't know about them, and they're very hard to get someone's hands because, like, well, what is this? Like, I don't recognize that name.
right.
So, it on the from the consumer part, yes, obviously it's very important.
Hmm.
From my part, people come and say I did my research.
Hmm.
Like, oh, the problem is most of your research is probably based on the marketing guys, not the
Right,
engineering guys,
right,
because that's all you're getting when you're, on something like this. You're getting the engineers, the marketer's tape, not the engineer's take,
right,
and
right.
that's what I care about.
Sure. Well, I guess the marketers are trying to sell you what the engineers are trying to, they can't sell what an engineer would say,
Correct.
because they're engineers and they're going to say it in some very technical jargon that nobody's going to understand except for you and, a few people. But so yes, I could see why they're the important mouthpiece of the company.
Yes, yes. And by the way, it's a big part. Don't get me wrong. It's a big
Yeah,
part. Just not again because of what I do and how I do it. I'm kind of anti marketing, but
sure, sure. Was there anything that jumped out, just to get back to the PGA show? Did anything jump out to you this year, or is it just sort of other than the? I know you said there was a lot of a lot of small companies versus the big companies. I'm just curious if technology wise, or if there was any other thing that you thought that sort of jumped out to you this year.
I mean, there's no monster jump. There's never going
Right,
to be a monster jump. Even like I said, the Lab Putter. It's everyone thinks it's new, but they've been around for 10 years.
right, right, right.
Okay. But every company is making things better. Every company is pushing the envelope of doing different things.
Hmm.
You got to understand that if you let's use a Callaway, for example. I think they're spending $40 million this year on R&D for golf clubs.
Right,
Think
right.
about that.
Wow.
If we've been to their R&D center, we've been behind the curtain and seen some of the cool stuff they do. I mean, they are 3D printing a titanium driver for as part of their R&D. One of the things they told us, I think it's a pretty good example of something. So Almost all titanium heads are made overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes about 12 weeks to make a prototype overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So they could make 3, maybe 4 a year of prototypes.
Prototypes, right?
So they're designing, and then they're like, okay, we got to build the prototype and test it, right? They can't build 10. Now they can build that same driver by 3D printing it in 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow.
So a third of the time they've cut down, so they can make so many more prototypes.
Right.
They can make a much better product by doing that.
Right. Right. Sure.
That 3D printing titanium, wow,
That's a game changer.
It's now, again, you're not I don't know if in our lifetime we'll see that as production,
Right.
but you're not going to see the production anytime soon. But those tools to help them design means they can make things better faster.
Right. Right. How much is AI playing into these things? Is this, I mean, obviously you can't open up a newspaper or a website without seeing any kind of, you can't even do a Google search without AI being, you have Gemini right at the top, right? So
Yep.
where is AI fitting into what these OEMs are doing?
Listen, they're all using it. I think the biggest problem with AI in golf is that AI searches the web
Right.
for info, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there's a lot of bad info.
Right. Right.
So if you're bad, garbage in, garbage out.
Right. Sure. Sure.
The OEMs, for example, they're using on their fittings, but they're not comparing their clubs to anybody else's.
Sure.
So they're great AIs. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic, but it only applies to their product because they didn't they might have got the other company's product and tested it, but they didn't do fitting after fitting after fitting after fitting with it, right? So,
sure.
Listen.
Well, they're doing it. They're using it in a vacuum because it's just their stuff. So you're only getting the person who says, "I'm not leaving without Titleist stuff" or whatever. So Titleist can do it for Titleist stuff, even though, you've put my bag together. I don't have more than, I don't have less than 4 different brands in my bag, right? Yeah. So they're doing it sort of, like I said, in a vacuum, whereas you're doing it understanding all the different inputs.
Yes. Yep. But listen, it's a great tool.
Right.
I use it.
Sure, of course.
I'm using it. I think everybody should be using it. I think you should. It's like any other tool in your toolbox, right?
Right.
The more tools you have, the better job you can do.
Right.
Just gotta look at it. It's certainly in golf because there's so much misinformation out there, unfortunately.
Right. Well, speaking of misinformation, I wanted to, something that I feel like you and I, since we've been talking from the days of when we did the radio show, got over 10 years ago. And every year we sort of talked about the sort of myths of club fitting. And I know now you have a new YouTube channel out with John Sherman from Practical Golf, talking about specifically talking about equipment, sort of an equipment, your chance to sort of explore all these ideas and to explain to people, the truth about equipment and fitting. What are some of the common myths about fitting? And then also, has it changed over the years? Like I said, you and I have been talking about this for a decade. So, back in the day, it was, I'm not good enough for fitting, or I would have never thought about getting a putter fitting or a wedge fitting. But, and all the, and so we've been always trying to, for the last 10 years, trying to convince people that this is a really beneficial service. Has that changed? Have new things come up that we've sort of explained to people, and people are starting to reap the benefits of some things, but we still have to convince them about other things? I'm just kind of I want to gauge where we are with the myths of club fitting from back in the day to now.
The biggest myth with club fitting is still, I'm not good enough to get fit.
Right.
And that's just absolutely not true.
Right. And where they gain the most, by the way, right? They're the ones that gain the most.
So listen, the answer is maybe.
Right.
Okay. Because and that's the reason why you have to go to someone that has your best interest at heart, because they can tell you, listen, Anthony, there's nothing wrong with what you have. Mm-hmm. You need to go work on it. Or Anthony, you can work on it all you want. This club is really holding you back because it's doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest myth, is that I'm not good enough to get club fit. if you play golf, you're good enough to get fit for clubs. Does that mean you need to buy golf clubs? No, it does not.
Right.
The other thing is that club fitting can make someone from a 14 handicap to a 4 handicap. It cannot.
Right.
You can only do so much with club fitting.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, lessons, practice, course management, those things
Right.
are going to make a much bigger improvement in your golf score than I can make.
Right. Right.
Can I make it easier for you to play the game? Yes. And I think that's the biggest thing that we fight. I'm not good enough to get fit.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, people, I can see that has been, that I could understand why that's still an easy an easy cop out, so to speak. Some people just don't have the passion for it either, and I don't know if they, they're not nutcases like I am or you are.
Well, I'm definitely a nutcase, and I think that's important, right? That
yeah.
If you're going to go to get fitting, you want to go to a golfing nut.
Yeah.
A real quick story.
Yeah.
Years ago, a client comes in and says, "Listen, Woody, I'm not good enough, but I need a second set of golf clubs. My friends all told me to come to you, so I'm coming to you."
Right.
I'll make this very short story.
Yeah.
Fit him for clubs. He brings the clubs to Florida. He was a 32 handicap or something like that. Comes back to Florida. His handicap goes back up. He sends the clubs up from Florida. His handicap comes down. He comes and goes, "Wait, I don't understand this." He goes, "I was a 32 handicap with my old clubs, and the new clubs, I'm a 26."
Right.
He's like, "I don't believe it." And I kept going back. I can't. Why?
Right.
He wasn't good enough to adjust the wrong equipment.
Right.
Sure. So the right equipment allowed him to be better.
Right.
Well, everybody, it absolutely is not. But he loved his golf, and he was trying as hard as he could, and he was hitting his head against the wall because the equipment he had was not right for him.
Sure. It doesn't make for a very enjoyable experience if you love to play. It's nice to have the right stuff in your hands. At least something that's there to work with you and not against you.
Correct.
Okay, so we're still on the I'm not good enough. What are some of the other myths, and where are we at with those?
I mean, good enough is the most important one.
Right.
I can gain 30 yards with a new driver.
Right.
You if you can, you're using something that's really way far off.
But yeah.
If you gain 7 yards and you truly gain 7 yards, you're on the golf course, you're going to think you hit it 15 yards further.
Right.
What
about like putter fittings? Are people coming around more to that? I mean, I know how important that was for me. I don't know if that's something that other people sort of.
It's the most important fitting to do, Anthony.
Okay. See, I would have never said that, but that's amazing.
And the one that people do the least.
Right. So they still haven't come around to it. I was never. My eyes, when you showed me the results on that Sam, the first time I got fitted for a putter fitter with you was, I mean, I just had no idea how important that was and the information that I was looking at.
And you're a good putter.
And I was like, I just couldn't believe how, just what was staring back at me was so divorced from the reality of what I thought I was doing.
Yes.
And I guess that's so important, whether it's the descent of impact or the stroke or whatever it was, but it was amazing I still think, I tell people all the time how important it is. I can't imagine why people don't think it's good enough, but or not important, but it's important.
I know it is.
There's a lot of information to be gleaned from there,
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about this, the YouTube channel, because before we move on to some other topics, just something that you've wanted to do with John for a long time, and so now that it's up and running out on YouTube, tell us a little bit about it.
I think it came from John has a podcast called The Sweet Spot that he had me on 5 or 6 times, and it's it's very in depth, right? So it's me babbling on with him for an hour and a half about iron fitting.
Right.
And because of that, we've had hundreds, maybe thousands of people come flying from all over the world to do fittings.
Right.
So we thought about what could we do to next level. So we decided to shoot a bunch of videos with John and with Sonny and Kirk, in addition to me.
Okay.
So you get different points of views, different voices, and we talk about all different kinds of things. I think so far there's only 2 or 3 videos out there. He's going to launch, I think, one every other week or something like that. But we talk about, am I good enough to get fit? We got a great one that I don't think he's going to be publishing on lab putters about them. Sonny does. Kirk talks about getting fit indoors versus getting fit outdoors, and what are the scenarios? All different things of club fitting. It's not club specific. It's not like a Titleist TaylorMade Callaway pin.
Sure. No.
It's
No.
Design and concepts about equipment, where we're trying to explain, bust myths and explain different things. It's something really cool. I love working with John Sherman. If you haven't checked out his stuff, guys, his book, The 4 Foundations of Golf, is simply fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love working with him.
What are any other topics that you sort of are looking forward to addressing with this show, or is this part of the myth breaking as well? Or do you feel like that it'll serve a little bit of that as well?
We're absolutely trying to do some myth breaking. I'm not sure we'll take it in the future, quite honestly. I mean, it's something, it's a passion project, right? It's just something we thought we love to, as you know, I love to talk golf.
Yeah.
I love to equipment. So, we're just doing it, and we'll see where it goes. I don't know where it's going to go. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Well, just one last thing on the equipment, because we talked a little bit about some of the fads. So one of them was the zero torque putters. I also want to talk to you about, it seems like, and maybe this is something that more people should be aware of, and talk about the benefits of, and the rise of the 7-wood and the 9-wood. That seems to be really taking I don't want to say it's taking the PGA Tour by storm, but I mean, there are a lot of guys that are putting them in the bag. Can you just maybe, since it seems to be relevant, maybe talk a little bit about that stuff for those who may be watching or listening?
Yeah. So listen, it's a big fad, but to me, it's a good fad.
Right.
I've always preferred fairway woods over hybrids. But that doesn't mean that there's plenty of people I can't give them a fairway wood to, right? So it's
now, why did you prefer the fairwood to the hybrid?
Because my missus left.
Oh, this is you were talking about personally.
Yeah, personally. Yes. Come on, Anthony. It all comes back to me, right?
I wasn't sure if you were talking as from a store owner.
No.
Okay, so you were talking about yourself. Okay, this is a personal preference. All right. So right away, it's all about you. We finally got there.
I think the biggest thing is the golf ball is changing.
Right.
The golf ball's gotten so much better.
Right.
It's the harder you hit it, the less it spins. The softer you hit it, the more it spins.
Okay.
Well, you're hitting that long shot, it's not going to spin anymore. So how do you get the ball in the air?
Right. Okay.
Center of gravity further back. That's what a 7-wood has over let's call it a 4 hybrid.
Right. Right.
That's what,
Sure.
And so that's why you're seeing more and more of those clubs on tour, because they want the ball to have stopping power.
Sure.
And since they can't spin it like they used to,
right,
they need to launch it higher.
Right.
And by the way, that's a great formula, because you'll absolutely hit the ball straighter. It's tremendous. The golf ball does that.
Right. Right. And PGA Tour players, and I mean, it's all relative in terms of, but PGA Tour players are obviously playing much firmer greens with much more, I guess you could say much more movement, because the greens are so fast. So, they're hitting, you look at the Masters where, we're recording this for those people who are watching and listening just after the Rory just won back-to-back Masters. You look at a place like Augusta, right, with all the small quadrants of those greens. I can very much, and obviously having total control over the agronomy this past week without any rain, they had it totally dialed in. So of course the higher is better, and the low ball hitters were going to really struggle there. So I can see why a 7-wood would be, super important in a place like Augusta in the conditions that it was playing in.
Yeah, I mean, it's on PGA Tour, it's critical.
Yeah,
it's absolutely critical.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any other. I don't really notice any other. I think to me the 7-wood is probably the biggest thing that I've seen recently in the PGA Tour. unless
Seven
I'm
wood, nine woods. That's the biggest thing that you're changing, that you're seeing.
right. I want to finish up with, we're talking about loving, we've always loved talking golf, and I know you love talking golf. I want to talk a little bit about the Met Golf Writers Association. You and I have been to the dinner before. We've been part of the association for a long time, you longer than me. I was hoping that maybe one day also that maybe somebody like Sonny can come and do like a presentation. I think that would be great for him. But just talk a little bit about the organization. You've been around it longer than me, but we've certainly reaped the benefits of it and enjoyed being a part of that crew for a long time. Tell me your experience.
I mean, listen, it's an amazing association.
Yeah.
For me, being around these golf writers that, I mean, I've done a gazillion different things, but I'm not a writer. I can't, these guys are amazing. And you get to hear different experiences. And then when we go to those meetings and you get to hear an architect talk about a design that they did on a golf course,
Yeah.
it's just spectacular. I love it. I love the guys. I joined originally because I thought maybe I can learn something here. And
Sure.
every time I go to one of those meetings, I learn something.
Sure. And we've had, we've had architects, we've had equipment people, we've had apparel people, we've had training aid people. I mean, we sort of run the gamut, and we continue to run the gamut with different insights from different parts of the industry.
Yes, and they do a great job. And now that you've been taping them,
Yeah.
I think that's spectacular.
Yes.
Maybe there's only 100 guys there that got to see it, but if you tape it, everyone can see it. I think it's great. I love it.
And we've gotten really fortunate to see some really good golf courses over the past couple of years, for a long time now. But it's just interesting to have access to different places to, like you said, to learn about the history of the course, the club, certain things that we didn't know, certain things that we didn't know about the design or the history of the property. It's just it's been really fruitful for me. I know for you, but most importantly, like the people that I've added to my contacts in my phone. I think we could all agree that that golf is about the fellowship, and yes, it's nice to go and have access to these places. But meeting people like Brian Schneider, the architect, and then writers, people, these are, from the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal, and just some really Sports Illustrated. The people that I've met, the fellowship has been, way, it's just been a lot more fun than I expected it to be. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great organization. I love it. I learn something every time I go to one of those events.
Yeah.
And I hope to keep going strong. It's a tough go. It's tough to get the young guys to come out, right? Because they're working. I love the old guys because they've got great stories, and you can really learn something from them. I guess I'm kind of one of those older guys now, but it's truly I'm very, very proud to be a member of that organization.
100%. We'll have to get to another dinner as well together to
this year.
It would be a good time for sure. Woody, co-owner of Pete's Golf Shop, thank you so much for joining us on the Metropolitan Golf Writers Association podcast. You're always a pleasure to talk to, and not only a great fitter, but also a great friend. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Anthony. Always love talking golf with you, my friend.
All right. Take care, Woody.
Thanks, man.